I am calling this meeting to order. I say that, and I'm going to ask Abby for assistance on roll call.
Yes, we have Rosing, Ramirez, and Hayward are present. Gallagher is absent, but we do have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now, I don't know if we have up on the screen the agenda. Thank you, Abby. Always appreciated. It says action is the first one, is the appointment of chairperson. I am the chairperson, so walk me through on that next step.
Yes, when creating a new TID, we have to have a new joint review board chairperson voted on, as well as a new appointment of public member, and that currently is Nick Hayward, who is joining us as well. So I think we just need someone to make a motion to approve appointment of a chairperson and a public member.
Great. Is there a motion?
Sure, I'll move to make Emily Kuhn the chairperson of the Joint Review Board.
And I can second that.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Any comments? Any other candidates? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously, and that was for the chair. So moving on to the second one, which is the appointment of a public member. Nick, is there a motion?
I'd like to move to nominate Nick Hayward as the public member.
Is there a second?
I can second.
Fantastic. Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Congratulations, Nick. Hope you're going to accept that. Is that a good thing? Because you've been with us for the last year, so I'm hoping you're going to say yes, sir. All right, I'm going to take that as a yes. Moving on.
It's a yes. Thank you.
Okay, great. So you're a great part of our committee. Moving on to the third thing, TID Joint Review Board minutes of September 18th. I can go ahead and approve them unless, Abby, you'd like a motion?
If there are no changes identified by the members, then
Great point. I'm a little rusty, it turns out. When reviewing the notes, did anyone have any comments or changes needed? Hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and approve those minutes from the last one. Next is the review responsibilities of the Joint Review Board. Abby, go ahead.
yes, at this point for this agenda item, as well as the next couple, I'm going to turn it over to Todd Taves, who is a senior financial municipal advisor at Ehlers and Associates. And he and his team have been helping us put this project plan together. So I'm going to stop share so that Todd is able to share directly.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you, Abby. With respect to agenda item number 4, I imagine most of the members on the call have been involved in joint review boards before, so I will keep this very brief. So we've already completed our required actions under the statute for today, and that was simply to convene the meeting, to appoint the chair, and to appoint the public member. We like to take the opportunity, though, since we have you here, to give an overview of what the city is looking at doing. And with respect to your responsibilities, when we hold the next meeting, you'll be asked whether or not to permit the approval of this district. And the statute has a 3-part test, and we kind of lump that together and refer to it generically as the but-for test. So in other words, what we're about to talk about, from your point of view, you believe that it is the case that this would not happen without the creation of tax incremental district number 6. So that's really the first of the 3 items. The second is whether or not the project is economically feasible. In other words, simply does it work mathematically? And we will show you that that is the case. And then lastly, simply, is it a good project in terms of being beneficial for the city as well as the varying taxing jurisdictions? So if there are no questions on your responsibilities, I'm going to move on to the draft project plan, and you were furnished a copy of that within the agenda packet. I've got a brief presentation where I'm going to just hit the highlights of that, but certainly when I conclude that, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have about the document if you've had a chance to review it.
Just so you know, on that point that you were talking about for with the but for the economic feasibility and the third part, the stakeholders, just so you know, I was asked specifically about the second and the third points yesterday when I was at the Capitol. So I appreciate you going over that for the whole the whole group today. So thank you.
You're most welcome. So I will jump right in. And again, I know this group is probably familiar with the mechanics of how TIF works. This slide is really more oriented towards the public hearing that we will have next week. But as you're aware, TIF is a mechanism by which incremental taxes from the development that occurs within the district are reinvested and used to pay the cost of projects that result in value increase within the geographical area. So at present, the area that we're discussing has about $34.3 million in value. The taxes on that $34.3 million will continue to be distributed to the various taxing jurisdictions over the term of the TID. The projection, which we believe is conservative, is that the district will have close to $100 million in incremental value as a result of the project that will occur. This is proposed as a mixed-use district, so the boundary and the inset map is the geography of the district. It includes 4 parcels, 3 of the 4 being the former American Girl headquarters site, the 4th parcel in the upper right being a city-owned stormwater management facility. This is, again, a mixed-use district, so our finding is that not less than 50% of the area within the district is suitable for some combination of commercial, industrial, or residential development. In this case, we are projecting that we will have a mix of primarily manufacturing style property with commercial uses insofar as there would be office usage. No residential, obviously, given the area. All of the territory within the district, with the exception of the city-owned property, is suitable for mixed-use development. So we meet that minimum 50% threshold test. As a mixed-use district, we have a 20-year maximum life. This kind of gets into the benefits beyond just the increased property value, and this is excerpted from the project plan. So as a result of the reinvestment in this site and having a new user, we're anticipating about $147 million private capital investment to renovate and expand the facilities that are already on the site. As a result of the project, over 1,700 jobs with salary ranges as indicated would be retained, with the probability of another 425 positions over 7 years with similar ranges. And in addition to that, long-term employment and the investment into the facilities within the city, there would also be the shorter-term economic benefit just resulting from the physical construction and expansion that would occur on the site. In terms of costs that we've included within the plan, they total just under $16 million. There is a placeholder for a development incentive, and to the extent an incentive is provided by the city, it's expected that this would be done on a pay-as-you-go basis. In other words, the city would not be borrowing this money and providing it to the project. Rather, a percentage of the incremental taxes as they're actually generated and received would be paid back to comprise that incentive. Also would note that the incentive would require a development agreement. That agreement is not yet in place. So at this point, again, this is a placeholder. It would give the city the authority to pursue entering into such an agreement and to provide appropriate incentives as needed to allow the project to go forward. The second largest cost is we've got $4 million for public infrastructure that the city may need to implement in conjunction with the project, including regional stormwater and street improvements, as well as other costs that may come up. Depending on the timing of the execution of those projects, the city may have to borrow for those. So we've included some assumed interest expense at about 1.5 million. And then lastly, the city has certain costs associated with the formation of the district and then the ongoing accounting and maintenance of it. And we have that estimated at 320,000 over the 20-year life of the district. The project is expected to add about $62 million in incremental value above and beyond that current base value that we looked at. We're showing this all as being constructed in the year 2028. So part of the reason for the TID creation at this point is simply to provide that infrastructure as far as the financing mechanism and allowing the city to proceed with entering into an agreement. But for projection purposes, we're assuming the incremental value would not come online until construction year 2028. At the present equalized tax rate, the district would be expected to generate roughly $1 million per year through its term. When we run that through the cash flow and look at the expenditures, we've got, again, about $1 million coming in each year for a total of roughly 17 million in increment. On an outlay basis, we show the $10 million getting repaid through the first 17 years of the district. We show debt service then on roughly $3.6 million in projected borrowing. And again, whether the city would borrow, pay cash, and when the projects would actually occur are dependent on how the scenario unfolds. So in the project plan, we're assuming we would spend about 400,000 in accumulated cash along with 3.6 million in borrowed proceeds to undertake $4 million of projects in the year 2032. That could be accelerated or could be delayed, and how that is financed will be determined at the appropriate time. What the cash flow indicates is that we would have roughly $1.3 million left within the fund balance if the district were to remain open its entire 20-year life. In terms of the timeline, this will go to the city's plan commission next week. Right now, we've tentatively got this scheduled for council consideration on April 15th. At the moment, the city exceeds the 12% equalized value test and has been pursuing special legislation that has been approved out of committee in the Senate, is still pending committee action within the Assembly. And if that legislation is enacted, it will allow the city to specifically exempt TID number 6 from that 12% test, and provided that that creation happens before June 30th of this year. So that's why this date is tentative. Typically, when we convene these meetings, we try to set a second meeting date for this body, but given we're not certain when the legislation will be approved, when it would be published, and when the council will be able to act, we're expecting that we will be contacting you subsequently to set up a meeting sometime in that late April to June at the latest time frame. One last thing.
Just so you know, I appreciate all that information. They said that they were going to do the committee in a week or two, likely 2 weeks would be the follow-up for the vote for the Assembly, and then go to the floor after that. And during the Senate testimony, they wanted to hear that they wanted confirmation that the council was taking it up. So that's when I asked Brian to talk about mid-April of getting that on the calendar. So he spoke to that and did a great job.
Thank you. The last thing I would mention, as this wasn't really detailed on the slides, but if you had the opportunity to review the project plan and specifically the executive summary, the project elements of it are confidential at this point, but as it gets to the but-for, specifically the simple response to why this meets the but-for test is that the major employer that is considering expansion on this site and presently located within the city is considering other sites within the nation. And it's the city's point of view that without the ability to offer incentives in conjunction with state partners that there is a probability the company may relocate elsewhere. So this is really, at the end of the day, it creates great value for the city and the taxing jurisdictions, but job retention and expansion and keeping the company within the city and within the region is the driver for this particular tax increment district, and why the special legislation is so important.
And I will add that at the Senate level, it was impressed upon us that when we close the other District 3, that we would fall under that 12%, that this would not be forever. This is nothing that would be unfamiliar to this committee, that we would be comfortable with that this is just a bridge until that time, for which we will be fine. But it was something I had to clarify and say to end a discussion, that it was council's intent and the city's intent to meet the spirit of the state TIF law at that 12%, and that this is just an immediate need for that bridge payment or that bridge TIF in order to retain those 1,800 jobs. So that is my live updates. Keep going.
That's all I have, Mayor, and I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have on the project plan.
Any questions from the board? I know I was taking over your presentation, but thank you for entertaining those updates. I think it's really critical for you to hear that from us, or from me, but Brian would have been here to say the same thing, because we are a very pragmatic group, and we are doing all the right things to make things happen. And we would ensure good things continue to happen. And it was just the intent of the people on those committees that they're doing their due diligence. So I appreciate that background and the screen sharing, so that everybody's on the same page, because things are happening fast. And the things that I know up here, you guys may or may not have seen, but even for city staff, I'm sure they're being briefed, but to make sure we're all on the same page is critical. If there's no questions, we can move on to the next topic.
I just have a comment,
Mhm.
Mayor. Coming into the meeting, I was going to ask about the status of the change in state statute. So it sounds like it's on track. So thank you, Mayor Kuhn, and thanks to Brian for your efforts to facilitate that.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been a learning experience, and but we are all hands on deck to save those jobs, and I appreciate your support. All right, Abby, can you help me? The next topic, I think we're on number 5.
I think we would actually be on number 6, except it sounds like Todd is recommending that we wait to schedule the next meeting until we're sure that we have the legislation approved. So I could send around a doodle poll to you all to get a meeting on the calendar for the next date, if that sounds okay. Anything else from Todd or
I
committee?
have nothing further.
Well, I am sure that we are keeping Todd and his friends busy trying to keep up with us. So I appreciate you and taking the time to talk to us about this TIF and bringing us all together. Abby, always thank you for your patience with me and having us all ready to talk TIF policy. I know we usually just talk about usual 3 and 5, so we will have to go quarterly to 3, 5, and 6 from here on, and just really appreciate everybody. Bill, I know you've been helping me with my talking points along with Brian, and I have to say, when I went to go and talk last week, everything that you have trained me on, I could answer those questions on the fly. And then yesterday they were asking different questions that were challenging, but I just pulled back from all the trainings that you've given. And I sat there and I was like, yes, you know, this and no to that. But just so you know that there was a specific question on stakeholders to make sure that the school district and the county have been made aware of this and that they're supportive. Representative Jowers did agree, because I was looking to the state level as their point of contact for our counterparts, but I'm sure that staff was already briefed on that. It was just something I wasn't affirmative on. So just glad that Todd brought it back to talk about those 3 points, including the stakeholders, the but for, and then is it economically feasible? Because Assembly representatives did focus on that 2 and 3 in particular, the economic impact and the stakeholder buy-in. So everyone just help me keep pacing as things come forward. If we have to do any more talking points, we will just have to say much gratitude to our stakeholders, and that way we can confirm. But I feel good, and I'm really glad that we are moving forward together. With that, Abby, are we good? Did we hit all the topics?
I think we did.
In
Thank
that
you.
case, everybody adjourned. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Todd. Bye-bye.